Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes. Can I help you?
Excuse me.
Can I help you?
Flipping houses for rookies.
They're back.
We're here. We're in your ears with episode number 192. Episode number 192 is called The Last Rehab Bombed and Cost You Money. Here is what you do. Buy low, sell high is the universal think. Most folks believe real estate profits are made for those with capital. And most think all this is great, but are not sure where you might get the money. It's a funny thing, isn't it?
They don't say anything about that on television.
It's like this is what everybody thinks. This is how you make money in real estate. Buy low, sell high. But then they're like, oops, where do I get the money? So I guess that piece of information is not a good piece of information, is it?
Where do I get the contract? Where do I get the lawyer? Where do I get the... Yeah, I want to really do that. How are you going to do it? I don't know.
So I'm going to back up for a minute. And most think this is great, but are not sure where you might get the money. Find the bargains. Then know you haven't paid too much, so the house will sell once you own it. Oh, yeah.
I learned a
The
lesson.
best place to begin is with education, because believe it or not, many of your best deals in your real estate career will come from sellers who refuse to read a single book on the subject of real estate transactions. It's true, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
And will end up turning the property over to someone like you for tens of thousands of dollars below value. In this podcast, I plan to give you exact formulas so your offers are 100% safe. Plus, how you can fix the money. I'll give it to you again. Plus, how you can find the money to buy rehabs and hold these deals for huge profits. Even if you think you know these formulas, you should listen so you can get my 16 plus years and hundreds of deals and experience.
Listen, folks. Listen. I just listened to Bill. He talks to me.
I have to adjust my mic because I was having trouble seeing the paper because I couldn't see because of the mic. So here we are.
And that big round thing in front of you?
That big round thing, yeah.
What's that big round thing?
Yeah, they have a name for it. Something shield. Usually makes me sneeze too. So, all right, here we go. Ready?
Yes, sir.
So I found after talking to and helping so many investors or want to be investors, and I don't mean that derogatorily, but they're just like trying to get into the investment arena, that a lot of the same questions come up that often slows the deal down and then in the end actually thwarts the profit or doesn't allow the profit. And they're questions like this. How do I get a good deal without guessing? They don't say it that way, but some do.
No, they just say it in words that make them sound like they're just nervous about the whole thing.
Well, they're trying to be smart. So, but it comes around to how do I get a good deal without guessing, right? Another question would be, what is a good deal, right? Another question would be, what's it really worth? So you find this property and they want to know that's a big one. What's it really worth, right?
Hell yeah.
Another one would be, how do I find investment properties? That's a big one. You know, that one doesn't come until you get over a few of these other hurdles, and then it slaps you in your face like, how am I going to find these properties? Right? How do I finance my first deal? Well, actually, I actually have a book I'm writing on that right now.
Really?
Because it's that hot of a topic.
Well, yeah, starting is not easy because you haven't done it because you're starting. There's a lot of questions.
How do I structure my first real estate company? or structure my real estate company, period. It doesn't have to be your first one, right? Do I need a realtor license?
Okay.
How do I figure out the repairs or the cost of the repairs?
Oh, sure.
Right? So these to me are all blah, 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 blah. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not being arrogant. It's just that, honestly, I hear these way too much to ignore them.
Oh, sure. Well, you know what I notice? Working with you, you always find like a new way to do something, a better way to do something. So there's always a learning curve.
Right.
So I'm working on some things, and like I'm spending half my time learning how to do something I might not have done much before, and then doing it.
Right.
So it takes twice as long because you're learning as you're doing. You're not just, you know, how to do this and that. When I teach music, it's the same thing. If you know all these ingredients, you can just go straight ahead, like you're a cook.
Right.
How do you saute? You know, if you don't know parts of it, it just takes longer, and everything hits an insecurity. So you have to learn them. But once you learn them, it's more like going to the job, bang, bang, bang.
Totally correct.
Until then, and that's you. It's like blah, blah, blah. To us, it's like, wait a minute, how do you do that one? Wait a minute, what does that word mean? And, you know, all that stuff. Yep. And even after a few years, I don't know all of it. I may be past half. I wouldn't know. But there's always a little bit. So whatever you're going to say is going to be helpful.
So Em and I were talking about this yesterday because we did the live meetup last night, right?
Yeah.
And we did it virtually, which was amazing. And at the end, we were kind of talking about it, and it's like, she's like, you know, she's kind of like complimenting me on my abilities, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, but Em, I don't feel that way because, yeah, I could stand up there and I could talk to you about real estate and I could do all this, and then I'll go in my other room and I'm doing an internship. I'm teaching like 15 guys like how to find leads, like hands on. I'm like in there, we're doing screen shares and we're like meeting 3 times a week. You know, I mean, it's like really.
It's like they're in the office with you.
Yeah.
And you're the guy and you're teaching them and they're sitting there in a class.
As if they were going to work for me.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
And so when I do that, it's like I have my big Mac computer that's got, you know, the big screen on it, and I teach from that. But on the side of me, I have my laptop, so I can see what they see. Because on my screen, I can only see like what I'm sending out, but I want to see how it's being received.
Sure.
And it's like every single time I go on there, I can't figure out how to log in and it's like,
yeah.
I'm like a dumbass. It's like, I don't know. I'm like, duh. And she comes over and she's like, just, and she just, you know, it's like we all know something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
just remember that when we look stupid.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just how it is. You know what I mean? It's just, because this is what I live for. I mean, I just love this stuff. And like if you gave me a guitar, I'd be like, yep, here you go.
Yeah.
And I hand it back to you. I wouldn't even know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know if it was electric or not. I mean, I have to look to see if there's a plug. I would have no idea. I wouldn't know the difference. Right? All right. So these are some of the common questions, right?
Yeah.
And all of these are perfectly natural, great questions. They're just because somebody's progressing. You know what I mean? It's like, I want to dig a hole. Well, where do I get the shovel?
Yeah.
Right? Or where do I dig the hole?
No, that's the wrong shovel.
Yeah.
That's a transfer the dirt shovel. You need a spade that cuts into the dirt. Well, how's that look? Well, it's a different shovel.
Right.
Come over here to the display, and there goes 15 minutes not working, learning.
Right.
That's my point. Like, it takes some time to learn and some time to do. So whatever you plan on doing, add a little more time.
Right. So where do you go to get answers without spending thousands and thousands of dollars for training? And hours and days and weeks and often months to accumulate all these answers. You guessed it.
Yeah.
Right here. Right here. So, I would like to announce a couple things, which I was going to do at the end of the show, but I'm going to do it now. I'll actually do it a couple times, depending on how many people are on. So, excuse me, you know, Peter, because I've been talking about trying to get real estate investors together. And someday when I really, really want to do it, I'm going to create an association just like the Realtor Association, so that we can all be under the same guise. So we can have a group just like, you know, and believe it or not, The biggest thing holding me back is a word like realtor.
Oh.
How do you find a word like realtor?
Unrealtor.
Yeah. Anyways, but that's another story. So here is my attempt to get that started. Alrighty? So what we have done is I'm going to give you a link. So you should get paper and pencil. I'm going to give you a link. And we're going to start off small. But we're going to see if it works. Okay? Now, you have no idea what I'm talking about.
Bill, I never do. That's why I come on Thursday mornings. I want to see what the hell's going on.
So WhatsApp Messenger is a very common thing. We use it for coaching. I use it for where I work down at the church. That's how we all communicate. Mm-hmm. It is absolutely fabulous. And if you don't know what it is, it's an app you can put on your phone, and you can text everybody in a private group. It goes just to the ones that are allowed in that group. Mm-hmm. Well, Emma did some research and found out we could put 256, God knows why, 256 members in this group. So I'm going to give you a link, meaning the people listening to us, and we are going to form a group that's called Let's Talk Real Estate in WhatsApp. And it's free, and it doesn't there are going to be rules, right? And I have to do rules because there'll be a lot of people in there.
Yeah.
And the rules are, I don't want to see any pictures of naked ladies in there, and I don't want to hear about your family's problems, and I don't want to hear about you whining about how real estate doesn't work. If there's any negativity, I just kick you out. I'm not even going to talk to you. I'm just going to push the button, delete, you're gone.
Yeah, but I have a problem. How do I fix it? That's the kind of thing
real
we look
estate,
at.
Yeah, I don't want to hear
I don't know
about
how to do this. How do I do that?
Yeah, I don't want to hear about how your kids ruin your life and now you can't do real estate. I don't want to hear that. But if you're like, I have this deal and I don't know what to do, or where do I find this, or especially about our materials, obviously. Although that's not what it is, but a lot of people, I will have coaching clients in there. I have people that are students that email me. Send in support tickets. This is sort of like my step up from sending me a support ticket. Because right now it's between me and the person sending me the support ticket. And I realized with my coaching group and my internship that the group atmosphere is a lot better because there's a lot of people that can answer questions other than me.
Yeah, it's in a way it's like a forum because you don't have to. You can't answer every question. Number one, right. But there's like people there that have an answer for a specific concern, and they can help. You can help each other.
And some people are a lot more smarter on certain things. A lot more smarter with me on deal structuring, on everything. They're a lot more. They have, like, for example, the internship. I use Excel and I'm pretty good at it. Excel, Word Excel.
Yeah.
But we have some guys in the internship that are like masters at it, and they show me shit. They've taught Emma and I stuff about Excel. So. That's just how it works. Like, everybody has a talent or two or three. So here's the link.
Sounds like strength in numbers, Bill.
Totally. And so here's the link. But I'm going to say this again. If you've been listening to me and you know me, I am not going to put up with any crap in this group. And don't think that you're going to get free coaching from me. Because that's not going to happen. If you ask too many questions, I'm going to tell you need to be in a coaching group, and that's it. Okay, so this is a general like networking type of thing. I don't want you putting in there, that you have some MLM and you're trying to sell somebody something. All that stuff will get deleted. This is a honest to goodness chat group for people that are trying to get real estate done and they're trying to get through their first stages, and they just have some basic questions like what we just talked about, and the group can help them. Okay. So, just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/group chat. So it's flippinghousesforrookies.com/group chat. Okay. Second thing I'd like to announce, I didn't know I was going to do this early, but I'm going to just do it, and we'll go back to it when we come back to the end of the podcast. The other thing I'd like to announce is that the deal structuring. So I put together a new course. Actually, Emma did it. We put together a new course that is all about deal structuring. That's all it's about, is deal structuring. And I should have wrote the name of it down. What is it called, Em? Extraordinary Real Estate Deals Defined. Okay? And all it is about deal structuring. That's all it's about. And it's about the 7 ways that I do deals, and it has, there's a whole course about it. There's bonuses in there. There's how to talk to prospect suspects. There's scripts, all kinds of stuff in there. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
100% free.
He's crazy. He's just crazy.
My coach tells me I'm nuts, but it's 100% free. I want people to know how to do creative real estate, so I'm willing to show them how to do the deal structuring. All in one spot. You have to put a username and password in, and it's a membership portal. Once you put your name and username and password in there, then I'm sorry, what's that?
Just your name and your email.
Oh, your name and email. Well, you'll get a password, right? There is no password because it's free. Is that why? Okay. So Emma says there's no password. Point is, you get it for life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you can find that one of a couple ways. You can go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. On the top right-hand side, click on the button that says courses, and it's in there. Okay. Or you can go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/deal structuring.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll bring you right to that page. Okay. But just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, courses, and it's in there. It says free.
Yep.
Or in the front page.
Oh, that's right. We changed the front page. Oh, yeah, that's right. So you can go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. On the very front page in yellow, you can put your name and email address in there, and you can get it that way too.
Mm-hmm.
Very easy to get. There's 3 places you can get it.
Yep.
Actually, that's the best. Let's just do that. So just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, go to the front page, scroll down, past the first picture, you'll see some yellow font there, and just put your name and email address in there, and you'll have access to it. Okay?
Good one, Bill.
All right. So my point is, in going off on this, is I said, where do you get all this information in one place? Right? So this course that I made, I actually call it the largest or the biggest connection on the biggest internet. Let me think for a second. How did I say it? It's the largest collection of creative real estate investment strategies on the internet. And that is the truth. You go find somebody that has as much information as I have about creative real estate, and for free.
Yeah.
And I'll give you one of my high-end courses for free if you can find one of those things.
Yeah.
I'll give you my How to Buy Real Estate Without a Loan course, which is a $500 course for free if you can show somebody that has more information in one spot for free than I do.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of that. I mean, I'm not supposed to give free stuff away, but I'm telling you, it has helped so many people. I've made so many connections, and there are so many ways it's changed people's lives that it's unprecedented.
Well, the thing that impresses me is we talk so much about everything else a lot, like marketing, how to find people, and how to finish the deal, all these things. But everything depends on that.
Right.
And people don't know those.
Right.
When I came to the first few meetings and you were just doing that, I'm thinking, why are you doing this first? I mean, how do I start? Well, start what? If I don't know where I'm headed. So this sits right dead in the middle of everything.
Right.
And when you know these, your eyes open to all the possibilities, which are the reasons you would do the marketing, you would get out there, you would look for the properties, because you have a way to make the deal.
Right.
Without that, what are you doing?
So I'm going to say something that I probably shouldn't say.
What else is new, William? Go for it.
I would guess, this is a complete guess, an absolute guess, but it's a calculated guess.
Mm-hmm.
My website has cost me probably close to $100,000 to make it.
Can I just say officially for all the viewers and myself, ouch.
And you can use it. So why would I do that? Because I can. And I can afford it.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it. And I'm not complaining.
Mm.
But my point is it's not some rinky-dink little WordPress site that we put together in some back office somewhere. Okay, it's not that at all.
No, this thing's been growing for a few years.
So if you want to do creative real estate investing, that's the place to go. Which reminds me, the last thing I want to say, and I feel like I'm totally promoting myself, and that's not what I want to do here, because I want to get on with the podcast. If you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com and you scroll down about halfway down the page, both podcasts are there. Because we have another podcast called
Startup Bootcamp,
which is a 35 or 36 30-minute podcast for someone that wants to get started in the real estate investing business. We go through it step by step like a checklist.
Mm-hmm.
We actually made a workbook that we don't even sell. We haven't even given it to anybody. We have a workbook that takes you through a 60-day period where every day you do something, and at the end of 60 days, you actually have a real estate investing business up and running and getting deals. You have it's all the steps on how to do that. And we never talk about it.
Yeah.
We built that thing. It took us 6 months to build it. And I don't think I've ever sold one of them. I give it to my coaching client. Yeah, we sold one. We give it to our coaching clients, and they don't even use it. Okay.
I think that's really valuable though, because our podcasts are valuable like crazy, but they're not in sequence.
Right.
You know, if somebody goes, I want to learn the business, start a boot camp. I mean, 1, 2, 3.
Anyway, so
4, 5, 6.
when you go to those podcasts, right below them, there's a link that says give us a review.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, just scroll down where you see the two podcasts are side by side. All the episodes are there. You'll see them. They're in little boxes, right? Right below that, it'll say give us a review. That's what I want. If you want to help me, or if you want to give me exchange, or you exchange for all the help that we've given you, that's the way to do it, is go there and click on that button and give us a review. Okay? All right. So let's carry on with the podcast, right? So let's talk about or start with the cash formula.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to be very specific here because of my words. Cash formula. It took me, and call me a dumbass, I'm okay with that. It took me a few years to realize that the Mayo formula, which is Ron LeGrand's, is not a rehab formula. It's if you pay cash.
Mm-hmm. This is when you buy a house, however you get the money, you hand one chunk of money to the seller. Right. He goes away and you got a house. Cash, check, money order, whatever.
It doesn't mean that we're handing him a bag full of cash. It means that we went and raised the money and we're having a closing, and the seller gets all the money in one place.
And you get the deed, and there you were.
So Ron LeGrand, as I said, calls this, Ron LeGrand, who's one of my mentors, calls this the Mayo formula.
Maximum allowable offer.
Right. Okay. Which means it's the most you can pay
Mm-hmm.
when you're using cash, which very often is a rehab.
Right. Very often.
So usually what happens is you're taught this formula as a rehab when you're buying rehabs or ugly houses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here's what happens. Listen to me. Heed my experience right now, please. Is it possible you could buy a pretty house for cash?
Sure.
So this formula works for that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're paying cash.
So you could buy a house that doesn't need to be rehabbed.
Right.
That's all a pretty house is. It doesn't need to be rehabbed.
Correct.
Cleaned up a little bit, just get the cobwebs out, but not rehabbed.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. But you're using cash. So you would use this formula.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the way it works is ARV. Okay. And I'm gonna help you with this in a second. You're really gonna like this podcast. I mean, I say that about every podcast, but I think the podcasts are just getting better and better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So ARV means after renovated value. We're going to come back to that. Okay. But it means what the house is worth after it's fixed up.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty house. So if you're buying an ugly house, or you're buying a pretty house that needs a little fluffy, it's after that. It's like all fixed up. It's like staged, ready to go. It's like camera ready.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So ARV, that number,
yep,
which I'm going to cover in a minute, the ARV times 70% minus repairs minus any wholesale profit you might want to make, like $5,000 or $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Used to be $10,000. I think Than Merrill taught for a long time it was $10,000. I think he now teaches that it's $5,000.
Yeah.
Okay. And he has a whole university on this, on how to wholesale houses. I mean, he's made millions of dollars doing that. Okay. God bless him. All right. That's the formula. So if we have a pretty house, right, here's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it doesn't need repairs, I still do whatever it's worth, the ARV, after renovated value, which could just be simply a comp, a comparable, times 70% minus $5,000.
Right.
I always do at least $5,000 because $5,000 you could do in landscaping. You could, put a new furnace in if you had to. I mean, I don't know. I just pick $5,000. I always do $5,000.
Yeah. Well, that's not rehab, but that's like cleaning it up. Whatever, just to make it more presentable, right?
The real reason I do it is because if I don't want to keep the property, I can wholesale it to somebody.
Right. If you don't keep it,
right,
you just do that and you get the $5,000 built in for the little But then if you keep it, you use the $5,000 to fix it up. Either way, you're okay.
That's right. Okay.
And I've seen you do this, and then whatever works, you just go that way.
So you need to get, and by the way, if you're going to listen to the rest of this podcast, I strongly suggest wherever you are, you get paper and pencil because I am going to give you some kick-ass information. And you're going to want to write it down, and you're going to want to do what I tell you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I'm being so arrogant right now, but just do it. Don't worry about my personality. Just do it. Okay? So get a paper and pencil because you're going to want to write some shit down. Okay?
Folks, you know what? You should grab a notebook and just keep that for the podcast and bright ideas you come up with, and just keep writing in that sucker. Yeah, from the first podcast you listen to us.
I would do.
Just because you do, I do too. I got notebooks for things I do. Everything goes in that one, and you have another one for something else, and you just keep stuff. Pieces of paper, hey, you can lose them.
Right.
Just keep this.
All right, so let's start off with ARV. That's after renovated value, like we said. Okay, so I'm gonna teach you how you can get ARV, because that was one of the questions we have. How do I know what a house is worth?
Yeah, you want to buy a house, but you're thinking, well, how do I pay for it? Where do I pay for it if I don't know how much I'm going to sell it for? You need to know that.
Right.
Right.
So here we go.
Yeah.
You're going to go to these websites. Actually you need to do at least 3, preferably all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here we go. Ready?
Yep.
Zillow, obviously. And I hear a lot of the Zestimate is always wrong. You know what? No.
It's
just go to Zillow and get the number. Go get the number because I'm going to show you what to do with it. Don't take that out of your head because that's not a true datum.
Well, they don't really go to that specific house and look it over and write a number. They do it kind of generally, don't they? It's this big. It's that many bedrooms. It's this much. They just kind of generalize it.
By the time I get done in the next 15 minutes, you are going to not worry about Zillow's estimate. you're going to know why. Okay, so Zillow's a place. E-appraisal. E-P-P-R-A-S-A-L. E-appraisal. Okay? Redfin. R-E-D-F-I-N. HomeSnap. H-O-M-E-S-N-A-P. HomeSnap. Realtor.com. Trulia. T-R-U-L-I-A. RealQuest. Real Estate ABC. And my absolute favorite is PropStream. Okay. PropStream is a paid service. If you want to get a deal, go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/PropStream. Okay. And that allows me to, if you decide you want to help me, yes, there is a commission, or I am an affiliate of theirs. If you want to just go to PropStream and not give me my affiliate commission and jip me out of my commission, have at it. I don't care. I'm not getting rich off of your freaking commission. Okay. So there you go. So for those that want to do that, go ahead. But we have an affiliate link.
But if you want to save, they can save money if they do this way.
Yeah. So you go to Flipping Houses. You go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/PropStream. And you can get a deal there. Okay? Unbelievable data it has. PropStream. It even calculates what they think the mortgage is now.
Oh,
so they
right.
look at the deeds and see how much the mortgages were filed, what the payments are, and they do calculations, and they'll even tell you in PropStream what they think they owe currently.
Yeah.
Now it's not going to be exact, but it's usually pretty damn close. You know, within a few $1,000s. You know, so the guy takes out a mortgage for $500,000, and he's been paying since 2008, and he owes $323. You know, it's pretty good data. It has all tax data. It has all when they bought, who they bought from. It has zonings. It has all kinds of stuff. It is the investor's MLS. You know how realtors go in the MLS and they have all this data in there? It's actually better than the MLS because the MLS doesn't extract from the city halls and the filings. This does.
Right.
So this extracts from, because I don't know if you guys realize this, but the MLS is a input data machine from realtors. So they input the data. This does not do that. This extracts data from the city halls and tax offices, and it's like this whole algorithm on how they get the information. So it is if you are a real estate investor for real, this is the place. This is the thing to have. Okay. Cause it's fairly new. It's not been around for a long time. Okay. It's a phenomenal tool. Okay. All right. So here's what I want you to do. Take all of these numbers from all these different websites. So when you go to Zillow, get their number. When you go to eAppraisal, get their number, and you go and you get all these numbers, right? We use a spreadsheet, but you can write them down and do it by hand if you want, right?
Well, if you just type the address in the search bar, do most of these come up anyways?
Some of them, probably about 2/3 of them.
Yeah. So without having to go to each separately, you just type the address in, and most of those will pop up right.
Or you can just save them to your favorites and just zing them. You know, save them in your favorites and just zing them whenever you need them. Okay. Here's what you do. Once you get all these numbers, you write them down on a piece of paper, put them in an Excel spreadsheet, however you're going to do it. You're going to get an average. So that means you're going to add up all the numbers. So if it's $100,000 for each one and you got 5 websites, then that means you add up 100,000 plus 100,000 plus 100, and it's 500,000, and then you divide it by 5. The amount of numbers. That's how you get an average.
Yeah.
Okay. So this will give you an average comp. Okay. So if Zestimate is way off, it'll help you because it'll be usually lower, right? Okay. Now, here's another trick. Okay. Here's what you're going to do. So now you have the average. Am I clear on that? Have I made it simple enough to understand? So you just average.
Well, you're just getting a community feel for what the thing is. You're getting several opinions, and you just average it out.
Right. Now watch this. This is pretty freaking cool. Go to Zillow.com/home-value. Zillow.com/home-value. So hyphen is the little line, a little dash. You don't write
the one in the middle,
hyphen,
not the underlining one. Yeah. Not the one at the bottom. The one in the middle.
It's home-values, Emma says. It's plural. Home-values. Okay? And it's going to bring up a pretty cool page, right? It's very easy to use. So what you do is you put the location of the property in the search bar. You put the address in the search bar. And this tool will give you the median price for that area. Right? So if I were to put down 123 Main Street, right, and East Centerville, or let's do it this way, in Whoville, Dr. Seuss, in Whoville, right, it will tell us what the median price is. Now there's even a cooler thing because below that there's a little gauge there, right, and it'll show you how hot the market is or how cold the market is. It tells you if it's a buyer's market or a seller's market, right? RealQuest used to do this, but Zillow does much better.
Yeah, I've been running into that in some of my searches. Like, hey, that's good to know because, is it hot, is it cold?
Here's the third thing that it will give you, all on one simple page. It'll also tell you what the average rents are in that area. In most cases, some rural areas it doesn't, but it will give you the average rents for those markets. Now, we're not going to pay attention to a rent, But if it says the average rent is for a single family home is $1,550, then that's good to know. So when you're talking to your sellers and they have a $2,500 a month payment, you know you're going to struggle with doing a lease option to sell it with.
Yeah, if $1,500 the average, who's going to come along and pay $2,500?
Or even to the other point, the house you're looking at, if the median price or the average price based on this tool is $175,000 and you're looking at a $300,000 property, what's the chances of you selling this property?
Right.
So it gives you a good gauge on what you should be in the range of.
Yeah, because people are not usually looking for that kind of house in that kind of neighborhood.
Right.
You know, they pick, let's live over here. Why? Because I like the area and the houses are in my budget range. They pick a number. Right?
Usually it's a school that predicates it, but yeah, that is correct.
But if the number was way out, they'd have to go with the number and then get a school.
Well, it stops you from buying a $400,000 house in a $200,000 neighborhood.
You know, my wife's ex-boss did that in a town around here, and it was like probably double the median of the houses. He held that thing for months and finally got it off his plate. Wasn't a good move. He didn't do the formulas, Bill.
Right. So we have that now, right? So now you can push these numbers a little bit. If you have a brand new everything, like we just did in the house we just sold, right? Say you have a brand new kitchen, a brand new bathroom. You know, we had 2 brand new bathrooms, a brand new kitchen. We put a brand new furnace in it. We put a brand new roof on it. We comped our house for $181.
Right.
When we did what I just told you, it comped for $181.
Right.
Okay. That's different. The comparable, which that's what comp stands for. It's a comparable. It's other houses in the neighborhood that are very similar to yours. They're very similar square footage, the same bedrooms, the same bathrooms, you know, that kind of stuff. Same, you know, size yard. You know, they're comparable to your sale, right? That's how they get the value. Okay. ARV is different. ARV is after renovated value.
You would think it's worth a little more.
So when we sold our house that was comped for $181, we put it on the market for $199.9 and got $194. Why? Because the house was freaking brand new. The person that moved into that house, honest to God, will not do anything to this house for at least 10 years. There were brand new appliances, brand new kitchen counters, brand new stove, brand new gas lines from the street to the house, brand new gas meter, brand new furnace, brand new hot water, brand new roof, brand new bathtubs and toilets and vanities. I mean, it was absolutely, positively nothing in this house. We even replaced doors and doorknobs.
Yeah.
Windows. Everything was brand new. Trim on windows. Floors were brand new. Everything was brand new.
You know, redone wood floors. And don't forget, brand new paint.
Peter. The only thing that was not brand new at this house was the 2 old farts that fixed it.
And thank God.
What are you laughing for? She's got her face covered over there.
Hey,
Emma thought that was funny.
Bill, the buyers don't see that part.
All right. So we can push this ARV number a little bit depending on what we have.
Yeah.
Right. This is no different than, let's say, you were to go buy a 2020 car. Does it have 0 miles on it, or does it have 60,000 miles on it? Same car, different prices. Right. So the 0 mile, the one that has 5 miles on it, is going to be worth more because it's got less miles. It's the same way with a house.
Yeah.
You know, the more you rehab and the less somebody has to spend in it when they go in, the more you can push your numbers. So that's ARV.
Yeah. And, well, if people are shopping for a house, they go to one house on the street and it's dated.
Right.
And it's you know, it hasn't been touched in years.
Right.
And then they walk into a completely renovated house, like, wow, this thing's, they'll pay more for it. Duh.
Right. Yeah. Now, the reason why we go to Zillow.com/home-values is because we want to take the temperature of the market. So if it's a hot market and you now can push the price a little bit more because the market is hot, people want to buy in that area. right? If it's a cold market, maybe instead of selling for $199.9, we might have done $189.9.
Yep.
Right? But because we did this due diligence, which means our homework,
Yeah.
okay, we're able to make these decisions without guessing. These are not out the ass numbers. These are on the calculator.
Right. Now, I don't just throwing your line of thought off, but we also have realtors. We've talked a little bit. We also get an idea, because it's a hot market, how quickly houses like that sell in that area. Like, probably a week or two, that baby will be gone.
So I'd like to bring up a point there. Because if you have this data that we have, you now know what kind of a realtor you're going to hire, because you'll know if they're bullshitting you, blowing smoke up your dress, they're just pretending to be your friend so they can get the listing. So this will cut through that.
So you see, it's a hot market, guys. Well, I don't know. It'll probably take a little while to sell it. No.
Right.
Or if it's a cold market,
vice versa, yeah.
goes, we'll sell that right away. Don't worry about it.
Totally.
Jack the price way up. Like, no. Oh, that's good.
Or
that's good.
They say, no, you shouldn't list it for $199. You should list it for $180.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
All it does is just arm you with the correct information.
See, I don't think like that because I'm so honest.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Okay. So the market tool that Zillow has is great. Okay. Good?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Now I want to cover really quick, a really quick way to use the ARV times 70%. Okay. So what does that mean? If we do ARV, we'll say ARV is 100,000.
Right.
And we multiply it by 70%. What does that mean?
Well, you're taking 30% off the top and setting that number aside.
Good. What is the 30%?
The 30% is your profit and all the what we call beep 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 bullshit.
So
right?
let me tell you what that is. Now I've done this in another podcast, and I'm actually changing those numbers because I think this is more precise.
Okay.
Okay. So
yeah, there was some breakdown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's what I think the 30% is, and this is open for interpretation, but this is really what it is because I've done so many deals. This is what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
And now you think whatever you want.
Oh no, I'm listening.
So 3% is for buying. Because when you buy the house, you have fees, right?
Yes.
3% is for buying. So when you buy the house, you have 3% fees.
That's true.
Okay. You have 3% for carrying cost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's the cancer.
Heat, electricity, mow the lawn.
Here's what happens with most rehabbers.
Gas.
Here's what happens with most rehabbers.
Yeah.
They don't keep that number at 3%. They go too long on their project. They think they're saving money because they go over there on the weekends to build the cabinets themselves. Oh. And then it takes them 4 months to do it. And they're not looking at the disease, which is the 3% holding cost.
Oh, my God.
Okay? Because they think that just because they're paying their mortgage payment, they're good. They don't get that the market might change. They don't get, the tax evaluation might change. What about the insurance and the taxes? And what about, like you said, shoveling the driveway?
The bills come in. Electricity.
What about your time? What is your time worth?
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, if you're over there putting you're saving $400 and putting a kitchen cabinet up because you saved $400. Oh, look at me. How much did you lose by not getting another deal? More than $400.
Yeah.
Okay. So 3% carrying cost. 3% closing costs when you sell. That's 12% right there. I'm sorry, that's 9% right there.
Yeah.
Right? All three of those. Then you want to have about 1% for miscellaneous and mistakes and the oops.
And what the hell's, the parts of the show go, look, we opened up the wall, we got a problem. No! Commercial.
Right. Exactly.
Hope it's 1%.
So now pay attention to this because this is not calculated into your deals.
Okay, we got 20% left. So now what happens?
How much is the hard money or the private money?
Ding, 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 ding. 10%,
so I put 10%.
10%.
Okay. And then how much is your profit? 10%. When you look at it the way we're looking at it right now, it sure does. It looks like skinny at 30%.
I've asked realtors.
But hang on, before you go off, I want to just finish this statement, and then if you pay 12% for private money or hard money plus points, that comes out of your profit, and you don't know that at the beginning of the deal when you're making the deal. because you just want to get, so you promise to pay somebody 12% in 3 points. You don't know what that did in 4 months from now when you're selling the house. You don't know what that decision that you just made, you don't know how crucial that decision was by agreeing to that, because you got hot pants and you need to do a deal.
Yeah.
Now, in the beginning, when you want to do your first, 1, 2, 3, 5 deals, you'll tell me, oh, Bill, I'll do anything. I don't want to make any money on a deal. I just want to go through the deal so I know how it works, and I want to get my education. Now, fair enough on that. But when you're making this decision with the private lender or the hard money lender way early on, and you don't know what you don't know, which means you're not completely, it's not even on your radar that this could happen to you until you get 2 days before you're closing and you look at the settlement statement and it goes from what you thought was $51,000 down to $35,000, or whatever the numbers may be, because that just happened to me. Because in your head, you're thinking, oh, I'm making $25,000. And then you get the settlement statement and it's $8,000. And you're like, what?
You would think, well, why don't you do all those calculations up front? Well, I've asked you many times, hey, Bill, what do you think we're making on this house? You know what? You just don't know till it's over. You can sit there with the calculator. You just
and do you know why I do that?
Don't know.
Because I can't play with myself mentally. I can't think of those numbers because it will sway my decisions. Because if you're making decisions based on the checkbook, you're not making the right decisions. You need to make the decisions based on the greatest number for the greatest that are involved.
The greatest good?
The greatest good. Right?
But isn't that,
so sometimes I'll make a decision.
On the house, no?
I understand.
Yeah.
But sometimes you know what? See, this is where I run into trouble with you, because you just think in terms of money.
Well, wait, I thought the whole conversation is going like you're going to lose money, not make any money, so you got to do it right so you make money. That's where I think you're headed. So what's going on?
Exactly. So that's why we use these formulas. That's why I stick to my formulas, because I know that the money's taken care of.
Yeah.
But if I'm closing on a deal, right? Let me get an example here. If I'm closing on a deal and here, my subject to house that I just bought. Okay. So, the tenant has some assistance program they're using, which I've never done before. Okay. So it cost me about $600 to get some things done for them to get some money, some grant money. Normally, I would not spend that $600.
Right.
It would be like, no, you want the grant money, go get it yourself. You fix the money. You fix this. Right? But I opted because it was the greatest good for everybody. Because I got $12,000 up front and I got $750 a month positive cash flow for a 2-year lease. It was just the right thing to do.
Yep.
Because if I push them on the 600, it could piss them off and then I have nothing.
Yep.
Right? So I can't make the decision based on my numbers. I have to make the decision based on what's right. So when you stick to the formulas too tight, you could sometimes lose deals. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, well, you're not selling it to a computer. You're selling it to a person who has feelings and emotions, and that's half the battle on this stuff. So I get that part.
So, of course, did you want to say something earlier when I cut you off? You don't remember?
Nothing big. If it's yeah.
Of course, these are rough numbers, but a great guideline. Okay, so you can keep your deals in check and the profits in line. Okay. We good? All right. Now, let's move into the repairs so that you can do this without actually looking at the property. I do it all the time. Okay. So, first, before we do that, we need to define a couple of things, a couple of words. Okay. So, to me, these are my own definitions. I don't know if you can find these anywhere. You can't look them up in a dictionary or anything like that. These are my own definitions that we use in my office. Okay. A renovation means remove and replace. That means if you're going to renovate a kitchen, what are you going to do?
You're going to pull that kitchen out, clean it up, paint it up, and put a new one back.
Right. Okay, so that means you're going to take the kitchen cabinets out, you're going to take the floor out, whatever you're going to take, remove and replace. If you're going to renovate a bathroom, what does that mean?
You rip the toilet out and the vanities, clean it up, and put new ones in.
Okay, so that's much different than number 2, which is a remodel. Remodel is you start penetrating walls. You go behind the sheetrock or the sheathing, whatever it is. Usually lath and plaster, but we'll say sheetrock, right?
Yeah.
The plasterboard, whatever it is, right? So once you start reconstructing floor plan, start moving walls, start talking about electrician permits and plumbing permits and roofing permits, all that kind of stuff, it changes the whole thing. Because what most people don't realize is, and I've done this in Connecticut, if you're doing a renovation, you don't need permits. If you go to the town hall and say, I'm renovating my kitchen. Okay, I want to pull a permit. Okay, here's the form. And you put down there, I'm removing the kitchen cabinet, I'm removing the sink, and I'm putting all new stuff in, and you hand it to the building inspector. He'll be like, you don't need a permit for this. I've done it.
Yeah.
So,
well, if you threw your refrigerator out and bought a new one, or a stove,
right,
or one cabinet, so even if it's all of them, you're just changing things.
So the reason why there are building inspectors, aka building inspector, electrician inspector, plumbing inspector, is because the average person doesn't know those trades.
Yeah.
So the town official will come in and make sure that the contractor's not hoodwinking the homeowner. In other words, instead of using 2x6s, they use 2x4s, and the structure, the strength of the structure is incorrect. Instead of using a certain size wire, like instead of using a 12 gauge wire on a refrigerator, so that it doesn't overload the wire and catch on fire, the electrician, to save cost, might use a smaller wire.
Yeah.
To save him cost. But it's dangerous to the homeowner. But you wouldn't know that as a homeowner because a 12 gauge wire and a 14 gauge wire looks the same.
Yeah, but 14 sounds like more than 12.
Right.
It's smaller.
See what I mean?
Yeah, like
so
what?
This is why this is why the electrician comes in, to make sure that these things are done correctly, because the town official is there to make sure that it's done by code.
Yeah.
Which is a standard set of rules of how things should be done.
Sure. And
he inspects it to make sure it's done.
Well, they're concerned with safety.
Right. Totally about safety.
Yeah.
Right. And consumer protection.
Yeah. Because this is America.
Right.
And the contractor goes, you know what? They usually require a 12 gauge for this appliance, but I'm going to give you a 14.
Yeah, right.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's a smaller wire. So, anyways, there's a difference between a renovation and a remodel. So realize that right up front. Okay. So renovations go like this. These are numbers I use for renovations. So I use about $10, and these are numbers. When I say about, this is what I use. I use $10 a square foot. So if the house is 1,000 square feet, $10 a square foot is how much? 10 grand.
10,000.
Right. Just to do clean up. No, real, like, maybe some landscaping, power wash the house, just like clean up. $10 a square foot.
Painting?
$15 a square foot is when I clean up. So as I go, I keep adding to these things. So I would do a clean up, plus I would do paint and carpet. Okay. $20 a square foot, I would do all of that. I would clean up, I would do paint and carpet, all that stuff. Plus I would put one kitchen or one bathroom in, not both. It would be like, okay, the kitchen's okay. I maybe put a new countertop in it, and then a new vanity and stuff in the bathroom.
Right.
Or don't do anything else in the house, and I just put new kitchen cabinets in. Right. I just do one thing.
Yeah.
Not all of it. Right.
Yeah.
So that's $20 a square foot. $25 a square foot is when I do the bathroom, the kitchen, I do carpet, I do rugs, I do paints, right? $25 a square foot is my common number. That's my go-to number, because out of all the renovations I've done, that is my average. 23, 25, 27, 26, in that area. So I use $25 a square foot for everything I do everywhere. And I know this works because I have coaching clients around the country, and they use these numbers, and they work for them just like they work for me.
So different areas, it's not that much of variance?
No.
Cool.
So I haven't found it that way anyways.
Yeah, unless you're in New York City. Or
Yeah,
some
yeah,
really,
yeah,
unless it's some
something real
unusual,
weird, yeah.
Los Angeles, just one of those kind of places.
$30 a square foot is all the other stuff. So you're gonna do a bathroom, you're gonna do a kitchen, you're gonna do carpets and paint and clean up and all that stuff. But now you need to have like a roof, or maybe you need windows, or maybe you need like a furnace. It's one of those.
One of those things.
Not
So
all of
roughly
them.
ballpark and similar
Right.
price.
Yeah. Okay. And then if you got to do all of them, the roof, the windows, it's about $35 to $40 a square foot.
So you can almost add 5 for each if it's a roof, if it's a
Yeah.
furnace, if it's about 5 more each, roughly.
Okay. So here's the magic. I've done this over and over and over and over and over again. And my own renovations, never mind my students and my private coaching clients, right? It always comes out to be about $2,000 one way or the other, if you pick the right number. Now that's the only caveat to this.
Well, yeah.
You can't say that you're going to figure out that you're going to do a $15 a square foot, which is clean up, paint, and carpet, and then all of a sudden start doing kitchen cabinets saying, "Oh, the formula didn't work."
Well, that's not the formula. Duh.
Okay? So I've shared this bits and pieces here and there. I've never been this concise with it. So
I've done it with you, and it's true. But the other thing I like about it, when you say, okay, we're spending this much, we're spending $25,000, you then hold it to that too. You shop carefully, or you work the contract.
I reverse manage it.
Yeah, you reverse manage it. That's my limit. So you don't just go buying stuff and go, ooh, went over. And we fight a little bit because sometimes I want to do a little bit more. Like, no, let's not bother to do that. You'll sell the house anyways.
So when we fight, what is my argument always?
The argument is that whether we do that or not, the house is going to sell for the same price anyways. It's not going to really change the outcome.
That's not what I say to you.
What do you
say?
When
we're arguing, what do I say to you?
Shut up, I'm the boss.
I never said it to you once. You make me sound like an ass. I'll say to you, I'll listen to you, and I'll be like, okay, Pete, so if we do that, how much more money can we make?
Right.
Right. There's been a couple times where you did that. Like, I want to buy these appliances. Why? Because I think we could sell for more money, or because it will affect the listing price.
Right.
I think one house we did something with a deck once. I remember you did
like
something
paint it.
Yeah. So if I think, and by the way, this is a huge lesson. So listen to me carefully, because there's more than one way to evaluate how you spend money on a renovation.
Okay.
The first way is what we're talking about. If I put this in, how much will it raise the price of the house? The other thing that you never ever think of, which is the more dangerous way, is if I put this in, will it reduce the days on the market and reduce my holding costs?
That's actually my thought process, because I'm frankly not as confident from experience as you are. So when I'm working a house with you, I'm thinking, geez, I hate that fireplace. Somebody's going to go, I hate that fireplace, and not buy the house. And I think if I just do a few more things, maybe it'll sell faster. Right. That's more my thought. Because I see that sometimes we just leave a few things and people buy it. It's not like, well, I don't like how the back garage looks or something. Sometimes you just don't seem to care and buy it, and they'll fix it or paint it themselves.
So can you give me the definition of empirical data?
Empirical data, if I got this right, would be information that you have seen yourself from experience and actually been through it, and you know it because you've done it.
Without theory. There's nothing backing it up.
It's not
like it's 2 + 2 = 4. It's just, I know it's 4.
Yeah.
Because I've done it so many times, it's always 4.
Yeah, there's no argument, because who cares the theory if it works in real life?
That's where I get thick-headed, because I've done it so much. I have my little nuances, and when I break those, it doesn't end up good. Now, maybe I'm creating that because I have this decision that if I don't do it this way, it'll go bad. But I'm very strict with that stuff on renovations. because I have a certain way I like to do things, and I know what's coming, and I prepare for them, and I'm a planner, and I make sure we work it out before we get there. Notice this last renovation, I was always 2, 3, 4 steps ahead of my contractor. I'm going to tell you how to manage a contractor right now. This is not my script, and we're already over time, so I might as well just go for it. I'm going to tell you how to manage a contractor. Ready?
Yep.
On Monday, you go in, and you spend 10 or 15 minutes with them. You chat with them. You're not in a long conversation. You're chatting about the job. What are you going to do today? I'm going to go in the bathroom, and I'm going to work in the bathroom. And you look ahead, and you say, did you order the vanity? Where's the bathtub? When is the plumbing inspection? And you go ahead a couple of days. Just mechanically, like, how's he going to work on the bathroom? What's he going to do in the bathroom? I'm going to put a tub in. I'm going to put a vanity in. I'm going to tile the floor, and I'm going to sheetrock the walls.
And you have to make sure he's got the tile and the because you would think he would know that.
Exactly. This is my point. So most people leave it up to him. And what happens is some contractors are dispersed. Some contractors will be like, oh, it's time for me to put the floor in, and it's 10 o'clock on a Monday morning. He'll jump in his truck, he'll go to Home Depot and buy the floor, come back and put the floor in. And then at 4 o'clock, while the floor is drying, or when the floor is doing that, he'll be like, oh, I'm going to work on the plumbing. And he'll run back to Home Depot and get all the plumbing shit and come back. They're like this. So what you need to do is just constantly look 2 or 3 days in advance, or just look 5 or 6 steps ahead and say, okay, so while the tile is setting, what are you going to do? Oh, he's going to go upstairs and he's going to paint. Did you buy the paint? And that's how I manage my crews.
Okay.
It's just that simple.
Yeah.
I just go 2 or 3 days ahead, and I go there a couple times a week, and I do this with him. So, did you order the shower door? Did you call the guy for the roof? Did you order the permit? And I just constantly, and all I'm doing is just having a casual conversation with him, but I keep reminding him, oh yeah, I got to do that. Oh yeah, I got to do that. Oh yeah, I got to do that. And it keeps him moving along nice. You're not telling him what to do. You're not
asking.
Invading his knowledge, right? Or making him look like an ass. You're just having, do you need me to do that? Do you need me to go get the paint for you? Yeah. Do you need me to call? Well, I can't pull a permit. Do you need me to call one of my guys and do this? What about the dumpster? When is the dumpster coming? Oh, I got to call him. Yeah. Because I've had that. You got 5 guys standing in a driveway and no dumpster because the dude forgot to call the dumpster 2 days ago.
So while you're saying that, I'm thinking to myself, I don't have as much experience as you, and a lot of people have none. So we wouldn't automatically think from experience what's going to happen. But you could simply say, so what do you need to do that? You could ask him, what things you need, what do you need to do that? And then ask if he has those things, if you really know. If
you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, because we're way off topic here. Well, we're not off topic, but we're just a little deeper than we should be. Go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. Go to the top right-hand side. It says courses. And there's a course in there that is very inexpensive called The Scope of Work. It's literally a couple of hours worth of training. But learn how to write a scope of work, and then the scope of work becomes the roadmap of how you're going to manage it. So you could literally take the scope of work and follow the scope of work and guide him along.
That's the answer. I almost forgot about that. Yeah. Yep. All the steps are already predetermined, and you just got to make sure the guy doesn't forget.
You and him have already discussed them. You have contracts on them. You got everything laid out in the scope of work, and it shows you how to do that. Okay?
That answers it.
Good. So that's all on renovations. Now, what about the remodel? So, a reconstruct deal where I'm moving walls, pulling permits, and hiring plumbers and electricians. Here's what I do. In my area, meaning Connecticut, it's about $120,000 to construct a brand new house. Okay, $120 per square foot to construct a house. So if we build a 1,000 square foot house, how much is it?
$120,000.
$120,000. Okay. Now, that includes land and driveways and landscaping and stuff like that. We don't want that. So what I do, and this is a rough number, when I'm doing a remodel, is I cut that in half. So I would use about $60, $55, $60 per square foot. This is going in, taking the kitchen from the left side of the house, moving it to the right side of the house. This is adding a dormer and putting a bathroom in. It's like it's got one bathroom, I want to put another bathroom in.
Yeah.
Okay. This is, I want to take the basement and turn it into a family room. And I'm going to put up walls, and I'm going to put a water system in. I need to do a septic tank. That kind of stuff.
So it sounds like you're using the brand new house number because you're turning it virtually into a brand new house.
You're reconstructing.
So you're comparing it to that.
Right.
Interesting.
Okay, so it's about 55 in my area because it's about half. And you play with those numbers and you start looking at them. But these are numbers you're going to want to use because think of this, okay? We're in so much trouble with time. Think of this. If you were an MLS shopper, you want to buy ugly houses, and you're on the MLS, right? And you are putting offers in on the MLS.
Yeah.
This is where you're finding houses, which God bless your soul, because you are just working way too hard, and you're way too frustrated, and you're way too stressed, or you're happy with buying and selling 1 or 2 houses a year and making $50,000, which is fine too. Okay? Here's what you do. You go on the MLS, you find a bank-owned property, you figure out what the ARV is, and you use this formula. ARV minus the repairs, in this case it's $25 a square foot, minus your $5,000 for wholesale, and you put an offer in.
And the set minus the 70 too.
Yeah. Right? And you put your offer in. You can go on the MLS every single day and put in 2, 3, 5 offers. You write a check out to the realtor and make a photocopy of the check, because that's what they're going to get when you send it to them, or scan it. You send your offer, a purchase and sales agreement, and a copy of your check. In your offer, you say upon inspection. The offer is contingent upon inspection.
Right.
So when you get out to the house, if you use $25 a square foot, now you need to use $35 a square foot because they disclosed it incorrectly. You just change your numbers, and either you buy the house or you lose the deal.
Yep.
Point is this. It's the only way to find a motivated seller on the MLS. Because if they are asking $140,000 and you put an offer in at $90,000, and they come back and say, no, we won't do 130, we'll do 123. That's the MLS offer you pay attention to because they responded.
Yep.
Okay. Now you say, okay.
Otherwise, they don't even answer, right?
Right.
Nothing.
Exactly. They're like, no. They just
you're
shut
so
you down.
far off. Never mind.
So now what happens is you go to the house, look at the house, and maybe your 90's off. Maybe it's 108. So you're at 108. They're at 123. Now you start. But it puts you in the right arena so that you have a potential of buying a house. Instead of going and looking at 3 houses a day and putting offers in on them, calling a contractor,
doing all the calculation, how much it's going to cost.
You don't have to do that.
You don't have time to do that. You don't have time.
So your job is to get offers out there, as many as you can. Get the offers out there, and then the ones that respond to you are the ones you go look at.
Yeah.
So now you're going to go look at 1 or 2 houses a week, if that. But the potential of you making those deals is a lot better than if you didn't.
Yeah.
So this square footage thing that I'm talking about is huge.
Huge time saver.
Okay.
And I've seen you do it, and you come within $2,000 up or down. It's not a big deal.
All right. So now I want to move on. I want to talk about finding the money. Okay. So we talked about this in other podcasts, and I'm going to come back to it in a minute. So there's only 4 places you can get money for these deals. And it's just the way it is. So those places are the bank, right? Most people, by the way, think the only place to get money is the bank. Until you get in this business, you'll realize that's so not true. The banker wants you to think that because he likes his fees, and he likes to give you $100,000 in a 30-year mortgage. So you got to pay him back $280,000, right? Which is almost 3 times the amount of money he lent you. The second place is the hard money guys. They want to charge you 12% in 4 points, right? And now the third place is private money. Now private money is like people you know or people that know you, and they have like, family trusts or IRA money or 401k. I'm going to go over that in a minute. Or number 4, you can get the money from your buyer, which is what you and I concentrate on the most. We get our money from the buyer.
Yep.
Okay.
As does the realtor.
Now, my number one supplier of money is number 3, which is a private lender. Okay. And the reason why is because I do something that I never talk about. I turn my friends and liked people or associates into private lenders because they don't know they can be a private lender. So I teach them how to lend money. Okay. The reason why I do that is because there's no points. They don't charge me points.
Yep.
Right. I write my contracts so I don't have monthly payments. So if you go to a hard money lender, you're going to have payments. They're going to want you to pay every month. So that sucks up cash. So if I need $50,000, now I'm borrowing $60,000 because I want $10,000 to make my payments.
Yeah. Or else it's coming out of your pocket.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't do payments. What I do is I pay them the full amount of money when I sell the house. So, like, for example, I did a closing not too long ago. I had a $300,000 house. I paid my lender $18,000 because I had it for a long time. I had it for a year.
And what do you have to do to get that money?
He dropped off a check. That's all he did, literally. I did all the contracts, and I brought the $18,000 check to him.
Yeah.
He didn't even have to go pick up the check. Okay.
Yep.
So I pay them when I sell the house, right? I can stretch the numbers with private money lenders. See, with a hard money lender, it's 70%. Me, I can push it to 72, 76, loan to value ratio, 73. They don't ask questions, especially if you have a rapport with them. Like my private lender, which is a family member, Chris, I've pushed it as far as 90 and 95%. And he didn't know the difference. Never checks the houses, never checks what it does.
He's lending that much on the house.
No. He's not at all. My private lender's not doing that. He's looking at, I'm giving him $200,000 for 9%. I hope he keeps it for a year.
Yeah.
He does, because he knows I'm going to pay him back because I've never burned him. I've been doing business with him for 10 years. And so he's just looking at how much money can I make because I'm safe. I'm really safe. I'm better than the stock market.
Yeah.
So he doesn't care the value of the house because he's never had to do a repo or never had to get me out of trouble. Right? Because he trusts me. So that's why I get away with it. Okay. I don't suggest that our listeners do that. Okay. Number 4, the reason why I turn these people into private lenders is because these folks that are around you have things like this. They have an IRA. Like, for example, my sister worked for Bristol Myers for 35 years. Now, not revealing anything about my sister, but wouldn't you think that she would have an IRA? Or a 401k?
Sure.
Because that type of a company offers that.
Right.
So she would be approachable to me because I know she's got money coming out of her paycheck every week going into one of these retirement funds. And both of those retirement funds can be self-directed, meaning the owner of those funds can pick where they want the investment to go.
Right.
Right? So that's a perfect candidate. That's a perfect private lender. You can they don't even know they can lend money.
No, it's a self-directed Roth IRA, and there's companies that help you with that.
No.
What?
Please don't say that.
What?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Roth has nothing to do with it.
No.
They have a retirement fund that they can use to fund your real estate.
Right.
It could be a Roth IRA. Right. It could be a standard IRA. It could be a 401k. It could be a retirement fund. It could be a savings account. There's so many different. Roth IRA is just one type.
Do you have to do something to make it self-directed, though?
Yes.
Yeah, because then you can't just go to your boss and say, I want to pull my money out.
This is exactly what my point is. You're walking right into my web here. So so the point is I teach them how to do this. They don't even know they can do this.
Yeah.
So I don't go looking for private lenders that are like, oh, who wants to lend me money on my house? Yeah. No, I turn them into lenders because they don't know they can do it. That's why it's so easy for me to get lenders because I look for these indicators like, have they worked in a job for 30 years? Do they have a retirement account? That kind of stuff. Okay. Yep. Another one is obviously they have savings. That's obvious, right? How about this one? They have the ability, because they got good, strong credit scores, to get 0% credit cards for 18 months. And I'm going to tell you right now, this option or this choice is going to be rampant pretty soon, because what did the government just do?
The Fed just dropped the rates to near zero.
So 0% credit cards is going to be a thing of the future for sure, because prime rate is so low.
It's funny how those things come and go.
Yeah. Okay. So how about this one? They have equity in their house. They've been there for 30 years. They can get a credit line very easily. A home equity line. It's called a HELOC.
Yep.
Home
Equity line of credit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
How about this one? This is huge. Most people don't know. So suppose you got a business owner or somebody that's kind of a little bit savvy, right? And they got a few bucks in the bank. And it doesn't even have to be this way. They just got good credit. You can go to the bank and open an overdraft protection account, which is a credit line, meaning that if you bounce a check, the overdraft will pick up on it.
Yeah.
You can get $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 on overdraft protection.
You know, I have that, but I've never thought of having it be a big number.
Yeah.
I was like a couple thousand or two, just in case a check or two, right? Really?
Especially a business owner. You can get up to $25,000, $30,000, $50,000 on overdraft protection. Because especially if they write big checks.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
All right. How about a business that just has cash flow? Those are a good indicator, right? How about credit unions? You get somebody that's in a union, right? Like an electrician's union. A guy across the street from me works for the train union.
Yeah.
They have good credit unions. They can go borrow cheap money and lend it to you. So they can borrow at 2% and lend to you at 9%.
Oh, yeah. 2%?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you just said the interest rate was down to zero.
Yeah, I got a call yesterday from a mortgage person at the bank. I was checking on some refi, and the number went down half a point already.
It's going to go more.
And they're calling me. Last week, I couldn't get them to answer the phone. This week, everybody's calling me.
Yep.
That's what I did yesterday. I was on the phone 3 times with people.
All right, so I'm not here to educate you on this. So for a complete education on how to finance your first deal or a deal, go to episode number 146, where Pete and I actually give the whole story and all these secrets in that one podcast, which is, about as long as about an hour, 90 minutes, on how you can finance your first deal.
Yep.
I'm just hitting some of the highlights here because it's not as hard as most people think. What's hard is you don't have an education on how to do it. That's the scarcity.
Yep.
So like Ron LeGrand says, you think that education's expensive? Try ignorance. Okay? The major point that I'm trying to make here is you don't attract money by deciding that you want to be a real estate investor and then say, hey, give me some money. No. Why
would anybody want to do that?
You find a deal that's really sweet, right? And then you start talking about that deal. And all of a sudden, greed glands will pop up from all over the place. Caddyshack, remember the movie? And the gopher pops up from all the holes?
Yeah.
That's what it's like. When you got a deal, they pop up all over the place.
Yep.
All right. So, how much money can be made, or better yet, how cheap is it when you're doing it this way? Right? In other words, how cheap is the deal? Right?
Or inexpensive?
Right. So you got a $200,000 house and you got a contract for $90,000. Is that safe for the money guy? How cheap is the house? You start talking about this, he's going to be like, I'll give you that money.
You got a really good price on the house compared to its value.
Right. Especially when you're when you hear how lenders evaluate deals, right? And I'm trying to sort my head out here. So when you hear how lenders evaluate deals and the secrets on how these formulas work, you go to episode number 146 and we'll show you how to do all that. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. So now before we get out of here, let me tell you that I have gotten about 80% of my deals. How I've gotten about 80% of my deals. Okay, so we're going to talk about how do I find investment property.
Right.
Short answer, direct mail.
Mm-hmm.
And used to be signs, but that doesn't work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's changed.
I started again last week because I have half a box full. I'm going to see how it works.
I don't want to divert to this because we're way over time here, but I actually have an idea that I need to research. And that idea is that bandit signs used to work on the streets. Why would they work on streets?
People drive by and see them.
Okay, good. So doesn't the internet have streets?
It do.
So I have to figure out how to put my bandit signs on those streets.
Okay.
So I have a basic concept to do with it, but I've got Emma doing so many other things that I don't have time to do that research, so we haven't done it. But in any event, direct mail. So before you charge off and start doing this direct mail thing, I strongly advise that you get some specific training on this. Obviously, I have it, or you can go somewhere else if you need to. You'll spend 5 times more money doing the mailings without any results than you will for the education.
Oh, yeah. Just don't start mailing. No.
Believe me, the cost of the education, okay, is a lot cheaper. How do I know that? Because I've done it both ways. So if you go to Flipping Houses for Rookies /courses, you'll find a yellow letter course. It's not that expensive. I mean, it's like, I think it's $100 or $200. But the point is you'll blow that money in mail. Okay. So it'll show you how I do it, but I'm going to give you the overview here. So, now the thing that I do is I use, yellow letters, which is a Ron LeGrand thing. So he says. I don't think he invented it. I think he brought it to the main public, the mainstream. We use a very specific letter, a very specific envelope, very specific fonts, paper, everything. And we send it to out of area owners. That's my favorite list. Yep. And for 10 years, I lived off that list in many cities and bought dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of houses just off that list. Nowadays, we call for sale by owners. I have a virtual assistant. I have Emma in the office that helps me, and that's how we do it. And I turn that up and turn it down. There's times where I'm all over that machine. Like right now, I got to turn that machine up because I have nothing in the pipeline. I've been working on the education stuff, and I need to get that going again. Right. And then I'll get too many deals, and I'll like slow it down, which you shouldn't do. If you're my coaching client, I'll bitch at you. But sometimes, because of the education business, and I volunteer at a church, and sometimes I work 80 hours a week. It's like, how much more do you want from me? Yep. Okay. So that's basically it. So I do direct mail and I do signs and we call for sale by owners. Okay. That's my basic, which by the way, if you expect to make a full-time income out of this, you're not going to have one marketing campaign. You should have 3 or 4 or 5.
Yeah. No business works on one.
Right.
None.
Okay. All right.
It feels better too.
Yeah.
It feels like, I sat with Mary, my wife, yesterday, and we started the last project we had. She's been busy with stuff, and she spent hours on it yesterday. So it feels like, hey, we're doing something, and we're going to get all those 3 things, maybe 4 things going. And it feels good to just like do something and just get your time in there because you know something's going to happen. Right. Just get busy. So I'm going to be harsh right now. Okay, but this is the truth. There's 2 things that you can do that you have to do and will not be successful if you don't do them. There's only 2 things that you do in real estate to make your business successful. Only 2 things. Ready? Yes. Outflow and make offers. If you obsess about those 2 things and do those in excess, you will be a major hit. Yeah. You'll have a lot of money, and you'll be probably better than I am. If you outflow, in other words, get letters out, get phone calls out, talk to new sellers. If you're constantly talking to new sellers every day, and you're making offers, it will happen by accident. Yeah, I was just going to say, the first house we bought is because we went to one house and it didn't work out. And before you turned around as you walk out the door, by the way, do you know anybody selling a house or needs a house? Oh yeah, my neighbor up the street, my friend. And we turned around, we drove up the street a quarter of a mile, a few hundred yards, and there they were. And we bought that house.
Yep.
It wasn't anywhere on our radar.
Nope.
But if you just put enough
Outflow.
out, something shows up.
Outflow.
Yeah.
All right. So the last thing I want to cover before we get out of here is you don't need to have a realtor license. Reason why is because some of my students, well, let me put it this way. If you're going to buy in the MLS and you're going to buy ugly houses from banks, then someone will need a license. Doesn't have to be you. Mm-hmm. And that's the common reason why everybody thinks you need to have a license. So some of my students do have licenses. Some of them don't. If you plan to buy and sell on the MLS and buy ugly houses, then you need to have some connection or have that license.
Yep.
But if you're like I am and you pay attention to pretty houses, you'll never need one because we use options, which we covered in episode, I think, 190. You'll sign an option with somebody and you'll become an equity share in the property. And because you do that, you have the rights to sell the property is what it gives you. You can sell without a license because you have a very small portion of the equity. You control or not control. You have, the owner's giving you, by signing an option agreement, some permission to be able to sell the house as if you were a partner.
Right. Right.
So you don't need a license for that. Mm-hmm. So it depends on what kind of real estate you're looking for. If you're looking for ugly houses, then the whole license thing is going to fall into play. If you're not, and you're like I am, and you're out there outflowing like mad, and deals come to you, kind of like casting a net into the ocean and pulling back with fish, you pick and choose the ones you want to keep. Because of that, I don't need a license for either one of them. Because I don't go on the MLS. I never ever go. I can't. It's been probably 2 years since I bought a house off the MLS.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't even go there. I don't even look for them. I don't even want to hear about them because it's like, to me, it's like amateur land over there. Mm-hmm. I don't need that. I don't need the MLS. I don't need banks. I just buy directly from the owners. And if I do enough marketing the way I do it, we will buy houses. Okay. So, which brings me to the next thing, and then we're going to end off. We're in a series right now of the 7 deal strategies. So today we just covered, in an encoded type of a way, we covered rehab retail and we covered wholesale. Mm-hmm. Right. So the next thing down from that is free and clear.
Yep.
So next week or next podcast, we're going to cover free and clear and what I do there and some of my theories about that. After I get done with the series that we're doing, which has been about 5 episodes, okay, I think what I'm going to do is we're going to talk about marketing, and I have to work this out in my head because I have to extract some information that I may not have put in writing yet. But I'd like to talk about the different types of marketing strategies compared to the different types of deals.
Right.
Because there's different ways you would find different deals, and when you break it down, it's easier to pick and choose what you want. Mm. So you might market a rent-to-own seller differently than you would market a free and clear owner. Mm-hmm. Right? So there's different lists and different ways, and there's some methodology there. And I expect in coming episodes that we are going to talk about that.
That makes a lot of sense because most people don't know how to do all 7 deals. They might feel more comfortable with one or the other, and if that's what they want to do, if there's a way to market to that, that's brilliant.
Or more importantly, they'll be marketing to like, for example, the thing that irks me the most is like they'll be on the MLS looking for a property, but have no proven way to be able to get a hard money lender.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, then why are you looking for those properties? Well, I don't have any money and I'm not bank qualified. Okay, then why are you looking for bank qualified properties? Mm-hmm. Why don't you go onto Zillow and call someone that has a house for rent and ask them if you can rent to own it?
Yeah.
Because then you don't need to have money. Mm-hmm. You know, so people get confused about what they ask for because they don't know any different. So if I can clarify the different types of markets for the different types of deals, it'll help you get closer to your objective, like I just explained. So you don't go on the MLS looking for to pay cash for a house. Now you got to have proof of funds. And you got to have all this stuff that if you just in the beginning knew exactly, you matched your situation with one of my deal strategies, it will be easier for you to find a house.
Yeah.
And do a deal because it'll match your environment. Now, you may not forever be like without money and credit score, but right now you might, and in 6 months from now, you might buy 2 or 3 houses and totally change that and have 10 or 20 grand in the bank and then decide you want to go do one of those deals. That might be part of your strategy. Mm-hmm. But you need to make sure that you're talking to the right people at the right time about the right things so that you can get a result.
Right.
Instead of talking to the wrong crowd.
Yeah, you got to be realistic about it. Like, what can you really get done?
Right. Basically, to me, this is like, it's such a crude way to say it, but this is like walking in Sunday morning church service and standing up and saying, I'm going to preach about the devil. Mm-hmm. It's like, why would you do that? It's the wrong crowd. They're going to throw you out.
No. Yeah.
To me, if you don't have money and you're on the MLS, it's like walking into church and saying, I'm going to talk about the devil.
Yeah.
They're going to just throw you out. They're going to kick you aside and you're going to get frustrated and you're going to say it doesn't work. And no, it does work. You just weren't educated correctly.
Yeah. Well, what I like about what you're doing and what I'm trying to help you with is that you're taking the generality out of real estate and making it very specific for a person can find some way to get into it. Right. It's not this big generality of real estate. It's more specific. There's ways you can get in and there's things you can do and maybe things you can't do. So let's find what you can do. A little simple rule there, huh, folks?
Totally. All right. So, as far as the license goes, I just want everybody to know that I actually went and studied to be a realtor. I actually did all the courses, and I even took a course on how to pass the test.
Okay.
And I refused to take the test because of all the things that they teach has nothing to do with real estate. Believe it or not.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
Everything to do with the contracts and the deposits and the legal stuff. It doesn't have anything. There was no education in there on like how to appraise a house and how to fill out a It had none of that stuff.
That's crazy.
Okay. So that's why I didn't get my license and that's why I refused because I'm still protesting that.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. All right. So, in ending, remember that we have a new group. It's a WhatsApp Messenger group. If you go to flippinghouses4rookies.com/group chat, that's GROUPCHAT. You can get involved in the WhatsApp group, and that's a great place to ask questions and help other people. Or you can get our brand new course, which is totally free, by going to Flipping Houses for Rookies. Top right hand side says courses, and you will see it's an orange tab, and it'll tell you that it's for deal structuring. It's on how you can do all this deal structuring. Okay? What do you think?
Yeah. Whew.
All right, let's go back to the beginning. Questions. How do I get a good deal without guessing? We covered that. What is a good deal? We covered that. What is it really worth? We covered that. How do I finance my first deal? We covered that. How do I structure my real estate, my first real estate company? Oh, I forgot to tell about that. I actually had that written down. So here, before we end, let's do that. So how do I structure my first real estate company? So when you're doing lease options, you don't need to do anything because you have no liability. The house is not in your name. It's in your seller's name. You're just renting.
Right.
So other than having renter's insurance, you don't need anything. When you put a deed in your name, that's when you have the liability. At that closing, and only then, not before then, at that closing, you tell your closing attorney to make you an LLC. Use the money from the proceeds of that deal, like from your hard money lender or your private money lender, put $300 or $500 in the deal to make your first LLC. Okay? I name the LLCs after the addresses, like 184 Kukis Avenue is an LLC, or whatever you want to name it. I don't care.
Right.
Okay? I mean, mine is Connecticut Homes or Us LLC.
Yeah.
Right? DBA, doing business as Homes or Us.
Yeah.
Okay? There's not much more you need to know about that. So when do you get an entity?
When you need it.
when you put a deed in your name.
Yeah.
If you're not putting deeds in your name, don't get an entity.
I hadn't thought about that on the lease options, but yeah, it's true, huh?
Okay. So, how do I structure my first real estate company? That's how. Do I need a realtor license? We covered that. And how do I figure the repairs? And I covered that.
In one podcast.
Wow. Pretty
man.
rough. I was going to do it in 2 or 3, but I decided to just be concise, and I think I did it. And I think we're done. Over and out. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.